All right, what's going on, guys? We're here live with another episode of Angling Unraveled. Mitch is not able to be here tonight, so it's just going to be me. We're going to have two guests on, two guys that are fishing the Opens this year. We're going to talk a little bit about what they did last year, break into some things about what they're excited about this year. Jacob Bigelow and Andrew Behnke. So let's get them in here and get this going.
What's
going on, guys?
What's good, dude?
So what are you guys up to tonight?
Well, I just got off the water probably, probably half an hour ago. I got Chick-fil-A from the playoff game bet that me and Zach Ucherman. So I got the Chick-fil-A playoff bet and then just got Santee. So
nice. What you
no, I'm at the firehouse.
At the firehouse. Just
yeah,
in the world.
That's my off season.
Yeah. So both of you guys are fishing the Opens, right?
Yep.
Sure.
What made you make that decision, and what was your thought process? Because there's a lot of different tours out there. There's obviously MLF, there's the NPFL, there's all these other, the Alabama Bass Trail. There's a lot of big trails out there. Which ones? What drove you to do the Opens over the other?
Andrew, I'll let you go first on that one.
No, you're going first. My story's way too long.
All right. So I guess my goal has always been Bassmaster. I fished MLF at the time FLW in high school, and then fished Bassmaster in high school. So I always I had a sense of both sides. So I've always liked Bassmaster. I fished the Toyota Series my first year to kind of just give myself a feel, see where I was at competition-wise. Made the championship, cashed some good checks, so I kind of felt comfortable taking the next step, jumped in the Opens, and I've been riding with them ever since. Once they did this EQ thing, I liked the path they were going with it. There's still some things to come, too, with the EQ for the next coming years that people haven't seen or heard about. So there's a lot of stuff coming that is pretty exciting. But yeah, it was just no brainer for me going with Bassmaster.
What about you, Andrew?
Well, so I fished a lot around home fishing PFLs and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really have fishing, but I just grew up fishing around Wisconsin, all levels of competition. And then I decided to bring Opens 2021, and I got my teeth absolutely kicked in. Like, it was probably the toughest season I've had in a really long time. And tried to sign up for the Opens again the following year because I'm a glutton for punishment. Doesn't love that. And I couldn't get in because they're completely full, so I signed up for the Toyota Series and ended up finishing fourth in the division of the Toyota Series after qualifying for the Pro Circuit, then the MLS Pro Circuit, and it turned into the invitationals. I fished that, and I'm kind of the same. My goal is Bassmaster, fishing elites, and fishing for classics. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to do this for a living. Like, that's always the goal, and I didn't care what organization I fished with. I mean, it was not partial, but Bassmasters helped to a higher standard. And they're doing big things over there too. So no better time to press to make a switch. So that's what I did.
Right. Like Jacob said, there's things coming with Bassmasters that people haven't really heard about. Obviously, I do a lot of the reasons too, but I don't know. We're getting a little bit of feedback here. It sounds like.
I don't know if it's my phone or what.
I don't know. We'll be all right. So we all kind of started out at the same level, right? We're all from Wisconsin, which is cool.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more northern anglers that seem to be pursuing this now than there ever was before, and a lot of northern anglers that are actually doing extremely well and progressing to not only like the elites and all the other ones too. What is your guys' take on that? Like, why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of the diversity of the fisheries that we have up north that helps with that? Or what do you guys think is the reason that more northern anglers are progressing and moving up the ladder as far as these bigger tournaments?
I think it has a lot to do with leagues around the house, to be honest with you. I think it kind of gets overlooked. I think the competition level has grown in Wisconsin substantially over the last, say, 5 years. And it just seems to get more and more competitive, more and more guys jumping in it. So I think that's why you see the increase in volume of demand for Wisconsin guys jumping in the next level. So I just think it's really has to do with a lot of the leagues around Wisconsin kind of just upping the ante, you know.
Right. Do you think it gives any kind of advantage from the diversity of the fisheries? Because I mean, down south there's a little bit of diversity, but a lot of the lakes are more or less a lot of grass fisheries, and like in Wisconsin, you got like some places that only have rock, right? And some places that have a lot of grass, and some places that are rivers and things like that. Personally, I think that helps a lot when you come down.
You could just get bit up here too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like you can practice any technique that you feel like you're not proficient at with the diversity of the fisheries. And you can go out and experiment and catch fish doing a lot of different things.
Yep.
And putting yourself in a lot of situations to be able to take that down south and get bites doing that. Or you're just seeing different scenarios, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
Agreed.
So,
yep.
Which tournament, both of you guys are fishing the opens, which one are you most looking forward to this year?
Hey, you can go first on that one. I got to think about that one for a sec. Cool.
For the year, I mean, right now I'm just really looking forward to Okeechobee because I just want to get out of here and just go fish, you know. Overall for the year, I'm definitely looking forward to Leech. Like that one's going to be a really good one. But overall, this schedule this year, I think, is really, really good. It fits my style. I've been on a couple of the fisheries a couple times. I don't know. I would definitely say that Leech is probably the one that I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, Leech is probably up there for me too. St. Clair is probably for sure my favorite out of the entire schedule. I've just been there the most of any of the lakes.
I don't know.
I have the most experience there for sure.
So, sorry.
For me, it's just that St. Clair is not even a question. That is number one. I've done good there in the past. I just have really good history on St. Clair, and I like the way it lays out. Leech would probably be a second, just because it's north. But yeah, I mean, or honestly, to be honest with you, it's kind of a sleeper. I think Logan Martin should be pretty good. It's on the Coosa. I grew up fishing the Coosa. We got family friends down on Lake Mitchell. So I grew up fishing Lake Mitchell and stuff in Lake Jordan. So I got a lot of Coosa River experience. So Coosa should be pretty good.
Well, I got to be careful what I say about that because I'm off limits. But
yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, I got Logan Martin next Sunday and my practice starts. So
there you go.
It should be interesting. It looks like a lot of rain. It's going to be, I think, chocolate milk and cold. So
yeah, it's been cold.
It's going to be a challenge for sure. That time of year, but looking forward to it nonetheless. I'm ready to get back on the water. We just got smashed with a massive cold front and ice in Gunnersville. I haven't been able to get on the water for a couple days now. So today was the first day. It got warm enough for some of the ice to melt off my boat, and I should be able to get back up by Sunday, I think.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's been cold over here. I mean, every morning it's been like low 20s. One morning it's supposed to be 18 degrees, and it gets a high of like in the 40s, and it's even cold over here. And the fish do not like it. Florida strain fish are not a big fan of it.
Florida strain fish don't like any sort of cold whatsoever.
I think this cold front is what Gunnersville needed to like turn on.
Yeah.
Because I think we're really going to start seeing that lipless bite turn up and that chatterbait bite turn up. And it's about to get real fun within the next probably couple weeks, I think.
Which is perfect because then right after Okeechobee, that'll be.
Hey,
that's where I'll be. I'm making residency in Gunnersville for a couple days.
Yeah, it's worth it that time of year for sure, as long as the weather cooperates. Obviously you have your bad days on Gunnersville too, but it's arguably I think the best fishery in the entire country right now, just because of the class of fish. There's so many 4 to 6 pound class fish in here.
It just kicks them out
33 pounds to win tournaments right now.
That's insane, to be honest with you.
It is wild.
26 and a half pounds didn't even cash a check in the first of the year tournament. So
impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Insane.
So you
And
said
it just
you're
keeps it out no matter how much pressure it gets. Like
right.
it never varies. It almost gets better, it seems like, every year.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So you said you're at Santee Cooper right now?
Yeah. I've been at Santee Cooper. I got here. I actually had dodged that snowstorm, so I got to Santee Cooper on a couple days ago. First day was yesterday. Actually, no. Today was my third day actually. So, been a couple days, run around, learn how to run the place. It's
Right.
really not bad actually.
As
Not
long
as
as you
bad
stay
as
in the
you
bowl
think.
lanes.
Yeah, and really, there's no boat lanes actually pretty much at all down in Moultrie on the lower lake, so you can really
Right.
run wherever you want up there.
Yep.
Marion's not the case. That's not the case though. Marion's
No.
really bad actually.
Yeah, Marion's pretty bad. I had a tournament there this past year, and
That's a bad lake.
makes you run around a little puckered up, especially after what happened. You know, man, just stump hole after stump hole we went to after I ripped my motor off. So it was pretty wild. But
Yeah.
yeah,
You managed to keep it attached after that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of time left this year, so
Yeah.
True.
hopefully that doesn't.
Knock on wood.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So Okeechobee, when does that one start?
The 1st of February.
Yep.
1st of February. That ought to be a pretty good derby, I think.
Well,
that be,
with this cold that they've had down there too, if we hit it with a warming trend,
right.
It's going to pop off. Because those fish down in Florida, they can spawn from the beginning of December all the way through, I mean, into March almost. I mean, there's still be some fish on beds past that. And I mean, it's been cold down there too, like nights in the 50s, like 50 degrees in South Florida.
Yeah.
Those fish ain't having it. As we just said, Florida strain bass hate the cold. You hit 50 degrees down in South Florida, that's frigid for them.
Yeah.
Like they're pulling up in a hyacinth mat and they're not moving for 3 days.
Right.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like if we get down there and it's a warm trend, it's going to pop off and you're going to see some really, really big bags.
It's supposed to be. I've been keeping an eye on the weather and it is supposed to be. But I'm just worried about the boat pressure is what I'm concerned about.
I hope it does for y'all. That would be pretty cool to just, smash a couple giant bags and do really good just to start the year off, get some momentum.
Yep. That's huge.
I have some redemption to take out on Okeechobee. It kicked my teeth in last year on the invitationals. I mean, I spent 2 weeks in Florida last year. I fished the Harris Chain Toyota Series. I even went to Headwaters for a day, and then I fished on Okeechobee for a week, and my biggest bass was 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Like I could have done that in a way better place like Gunnersville or something and had a lot more fun doing it. But I don't know, like just the anticipation of fishing in Florida, every single bite you get, you think it might be at an 8+.
Yep.
Yes.
It's a blast.
I'm not a fan of Florida. Actually. I did good in my last derby there, but man, it's all the same. Everything looks the same, and I'm figuring it out now after that last one. But it's a
different animal.
Yeah, it's a little begrudging to go
pay
there.
attention to detail.
Because
I think they have good practices in Florida, and then the tournaments don't go good. So hopefully we got to change this around a little bit.
Right.
Have you done any fishing while you're at Santee yet, or you just kind of?
Yeah. I fished a decent amount. I've graphed a lot. I got like 250 waypoints now. So I got a lot of waypoints put down for sure. A lot of good looking stuff. But I did a little fishing. Found some really good stuff. Found some fish that don't want to eat. Because the water went from the first day I was here was 56, and now this morning when I launched it was 49. So for Florida fish that's not good. So I caught a 4 yesterday while I fished, and then a 3 or 2.5, 3 the first day. Lost a big one yesterday, but they're not liking this cold.
No, I would imagine not.
I got some videos on my phone of the fish following my baits back to the boat out of some stuff, and
just didn't want to commit.
Did not want to commit.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
No.
So getting into last year a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll start with Jacob. You almost qualified for the elites.
So close.
It really, I was watching, man. I was hoping, I was crossing my fingers for it. And it was just, with that level of competition, you have one bad derby and it can ruin the entire thing, obviously,
Yeah, literally.
What was your take on that? And how were you, one, how did you handle it? Obviously there's disappointment, but 2, do you think it's giving you a little bit of momentum going into the next season and a little bit more drive?
For sure. Yeah. I think to start with how I handled it, it was not easy at all. Being that close, and really after Watts Bar, I thought it was gonna happen. 'Cause I was in and out of the points race all year, right? So I was in, for the first two tournaments, I had a 12th and a 9th. So I was in 5th place after those first two. And then it kind of just went downhill a little bit in Bugs Island. Then we picked it back up, and then it went back downhill. It was kind of in and out all year. And then with 3 tournaments left, just trying to stay mentally strong, stay in it. And I ended up having a good day 1 on Watts Bar, and then I tumbled on day 2. But it put me back in the points, right? So I was back up I think I was in 9th place for points. But they took the top 10 because Kenta was in 10th place, or Kenta was in the top 10. He was double qualifier. So I was in it. I had a little leeway. Felt good about like the Ozarks. So I kind of just hoped for it. I really thought that I didn't lay back at all. I think it seemed like when I got comfortable being in the top 9, I wouldn't say comfortable, but when I got in the top 9, I would get semi-comfortable maybe.
Right. Yep.
And then I would kind of like not back off, but maybe not do certain things like I did before I was out.
Not take as many chances.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So I didn't want to chance it as much. So the Ozarks was nothing like that though. I mean, Ozarks, I just didn't get the bites. I mean, I just flat didn't get the bites. So that was on me. There was one area I did not check. That is where it ended up going down. So I kicked myself for that for sure. I thought it was gonna go down in one area, but it ended up going down in that area. So that was tough. And then I think it's Advanced Bass Stats has they do a tally on all the anglers for different leagues and stuff. And they had me needing like a 13th place finish to get in. And I'm like, you know what? That's really not terrible. I'm like, I have 2 of those already this year. I'm like, and one almost I got a 15. So I'm like, you know what? It's not out of sight. So went down to Florida, had the best practice I've ever had in my life. I mean, I was on the phone with Andrew, and I had a really good practice. I mean, I had the 1089.
Smashing biggins.
Yeah, and not like
biggins.
Like when I literally catch one fish and leave, like guys were like, "Why are you catching all these big ones?" I'm like, "I'm catching one fish off a spot and leaving. I'm not like just jamming them."
There's a reason she's big.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I really thought, to be honest, I could win. After that 1089, I found another school that was probably like 150 fish. I mean, it was just nonstop. I caught a 7 the first day, a 7 the second day. So it was really just going good. Had a bunch of limit spots, so I wasn't worried about limits. And then a cold front hit.
Mm-hmm.
And not a crazy cold front, but it was enough of a front that kind of messed them up a little bit. There was one area, a general zone of a lake, that I thought I was going to go down in. A couple of other guys thought I was going to go down in. And I put all of my baskets in, all my eggs in that basket. People ask me if I regret doing that. To be honest, I don't, because I would probably make the same decision again. Now, that's without knowing it was going to take 15 a day. If I knew it was going to take 15 a day, I probably would have done some other stuff, maybe try to catch 15 a day. But I was, in my mind, Harris chain, you're in October, big ones are biting. And after the practice I had, I knew if I could just catch one and maybe another, double digit like I caught in practice, I'm like, there's my tournament, if I just need limit fish to go with it. So, I forced it really hard there. That one area, there was 2 spots. I thought I could win them off of either spot, to be honest with you. That 150 fish school, I rolled up, made 1 cast, and I caught a 4. It just didn't happen. So, looking back, I think, to be honest, it was a good season. I just don't think God wanted it to happen that season. So.
Well, it's a growing experience, right? Like
Sure.
Fishing in general. Like if you go out and you don't learn something every time you go, then you should probably just quit fishing, right? Because
100%.
I mean, fishing is such a challenging thing to do, for one.
Yep.
and two, there's just so much to learn, and you learn something new every time you go. But
yeah, for sure. It was tough. It was tough mentally the off season was brutal mentally, really. Well, it was not easy. Andrew knows that. He got plenty of phone calls.
Yeah.
Andrew, how about you? So you fished the invitationals last year. Let's hear a little bit about how your season went. And you fished the opens previously to that. So you already have a taste for big tournaments before you even went into the invitationals. Let's hear about how your season went. What you would have changed, or like what you maybe learned from doing it, and give the viewers a little bit of an idea.
I mean, overall, it was a pretty mediocre season in my eyes. You know, they tally up 150 of us, even though they had some locals in, but they didn't count towards the overall angler of the year, and I ended up 76, so just outside middle of the pack. Honestly, it was like I was trying to play catch up the entire time right after the first event. I mean, I put myself in a slump finishing 138th out of 150 on Okeechobee. And, it's like just trying to wipe that out. And the rest of the year kind of got rolling. I was pretty close to doing well at Clarks Hill. I had the areas, just didn't execute. And then Eufaula was good. Lake of the Ozarks was good, made a really good comeback. And I jumped up in the points drastically, especially in the rookie of the year. I went from pretty much out of it to right in the race to be able to at least jump up in the top 10 for rookie of the year. And I thought that would have been a big enough win in itself, finishing 138th, which is probably one of my worst finishes ever, especially since I started traveling. But yeah, I mean, it just, a lot of things that I learned last year is just trust your gut and go fish. Don't let practice define your tournament. Practice is where you learn what stage of the fish are in and what they're biting, their tendencies. But don't let that define your day. That was something that I had to learn the hard way. And Eufaula was the first tournament last year that I really had that first coming out. I mean, practice for me, Eufaula was just kind of insane. I know both you guys fished it last year, and both you guys fished it when it was later in the year, a little bit warmer weather. I was there. A lot of the fish were pre-spawn, and I was catching 4s and 5s.
Yeah.
Not every spot, but I mean, at least multiple a day where I felt comfortable enough to the point where, heck, 20 pounds a day is not out of the picture for me. And the first day I stumbled. I only brought in 4 fish, but I mean, one of them was like a almost 4, and the rest were just like chunks. And then the next day, I just completely abandoned what I did the first day, and was like, you know what? You found fish in all these areas. Just go fishing. Yeah. And I went fishing and came in with almost 19 pounds, and jumped all the way back up into the top 20. And then a cold front hit, and a high school tournament hit, and it was like everywhere that the fish that I did really well were, and there was a bunch there. I mean, I could see a bunch on live scope. I was getting good bites, but they didn't like that cold front, and they definitely didn't like having a bunch of high school kids over their head. But like I said, overall, it was a really good learning experience. I mean, I got to line up against some of my heroes. I was fishing with Shaw Grigsby and Paul Elias. I mean, a lot of big names jump in the invitationals. Randy Howell, he's an awesome guy to fish against. And I've known Randy forever. I'm still traveling with Laker. Just being able to compete against guys of that caliber and still being able to do fairly well in a couple of the events was a big confidence booster for me. And then, the saying, sometimes you can think yourself right out of catching a bass. That's pretty much what I did for after Lake of the Ozarks, going into the Potomac, and then definitely on the Mississippi River. I mean, it was just one of those things that I just learned a lot, and just trying to, piece it all together, because this year we're going at it. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot. I've matured as a fisherman for sure.
Yep.
And I'm going to take a lot of those things that I've learned and bring it on to the open ZQ field.
I think that, man, those tough derbies, I think you learn more from those than you do from the ones you do good in.
I agree.
Not only about fish behavior and fishing in general, but mentally. I think you got to let
100%.
yourself get destroyed a couple times to really humble yourself enough to make the right decisions. And that's pretty much how my year went last year. I pooed the bed in about the first 3 derbies, and then kind of just cleared my head and went into it kind of with like I'm already doing it. Might as well just go fishing. And
You went into each event with a chip on your shoulder.
yeah, well, the last 3, Saginaw Bay was a turning point. I'll turn around, and then the last couple, and then I qualified for the Bass Nation National Championship and all that. So, it's keeping your head on straight and not giving up when you have a bad derby, and learning from those derbies. Yeah. And Eufaula was a perfect example of that for me, because that was a live scope deal. All these fish were, just kind of roaming around. It was super hot. You drink a case of water a day and you don't pee one time. And it was an interesting derby, and I caught all my fish basically just flipping a shaky head at them with live scope, and they fall it to the bottom and eat it. If they didn't, you reel it back up and move on.
Yeah, Eufaula is a tough lake in general, let's be honest. But
it is an extremely tough fishery. I was actually talking to a guy that I know on TikTok. I spend a lot of time on there. Met him at the derby, and I was talking to him about getting with the fish biologist that's in charge of whatever that area and the DNR, and trying to get some F1 hybrids in there. And I told him that lake will turn around. That lake sets up awesome. If they would just start stocking it with F1 hybrids, I'd say in 10 years, that's probably going to be one of the best lakes in Oklahoma for bass. But they got to do it. And he actually is following through with that. And it sounds like they're going to start putting F1 hybrids in there. So
dude,
there's a lot of bait. I mean, there's.
I was just going to say that, dude. There were clouds of bait everywhere. You could set down in the middle of the channel and not idle too long, and you'd at least come across some group of bait. It was wild. There's plenty of food in there, and they will excel for sure.
It's a cool place. I think that anytime outside of the spawning, the general time frame of the spawn, it's an extremely tough lake, because there's so much structure for them to go out deep and just.
They spread out. Like, I mean, oh my gosh, yeah, that lake it gives me headaches even thinking about it. But yeah, that place, they spread out a lot. There's so much structure that they can get on. I mean, a stump, there'll be 3 fish on a stump.
Right.
It's just they spread out so much.
Yeah, that
even in the fun when we were there, they move too. Like they weren't. I mean, maybe that's because I was there, during that time of year where they're moving a bunch. But it was kind of incredible to see. Yeah. Like, you catch them out here one day, and you catch them up here the next day, and then the weather, and the weather's consistent. Well, then it changed, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go back to where I caught them on the first day, or like, in that area, and they just up and left.
Yeah,
I did something different every single day of that tournament.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you have to do a lot of times, especially when it's tough like that.
It was just one of them derbies. Like the first day, honestly, I had a shot to win that one. I didn't. Every day it was like, it's whatever. And then day 2, I was, it's whatever. And by the end of like going into day 3, it's like I'm sitting like in 13th place, and there's only like a couple pounds. Like, I actually got to win this. And I hated even being there. It was like I hated it the whole time I was there. I hated it before I was there, and I hated it after I was done.
Yep.
And we get to go back to it this year. That's the best part.
Yeah, you guys are gonna. What time of year are you all gonna be there?
June.
June.
Yeah, just like it was last year for me. I was there in June last year.
That'll be a live scope and chasing them around deal for sure. But
I'm not fishing on that one bank that everybody is on.
Lots of retreads again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's
and I do wonder though if the amount of retread. I mean, you guys were there in June. We were there in April. I think it was April. Hey, I wouldn't think some of those fish were retreads from our event. I mean,
I bet so. They ain't got nowhere to go.
So
that's true. I mean,
if you could figure out how to catch them, I don't know what's off limits for y'all, but that cove that you launch out of.
Yeah, that's off limits. Our off limits is point to point.
The point
out there on the jetty. Because honestly, a lot of guys actually stayed after a little bit. Some guys stayed after. I know like JT and Tyler Williams, they both stayed after, and they said they both had like 20 pounds under those slips.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure, because there's bait in there, a ton of it.
Yeah, if you guys were allowed in there, that'd be a
No, that'd be a totally different game. No
I know
one
where
would
I'd be
leave.
spending the 3 days of the tournament.
I wouldn't even practice. I would just wing it.
I would go look for some like a backup plan, maybe, but knowing this is where I'm probably going to be.
Yeah.
So what do you guys know about Leech Lake? I've heard
Nothing.
it's a smallmouth factory for one.
Yeah, I've heard it's a little bit of smallmouth, a little bit of largemouth, and
It's kind of a hidden gem, I think.
yeah, I'm kind of going to it. I'm just approaching it as like a green lake kind of thing, like mixed bag.
I think it's really going to show out.
I've heard mega bags.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be a good one.
I'm going there to pre-practice, so we'll see. Hopefully it works
Well,
out.
send me pictures because I want to see what's in there.
Yeah.
It's not too far away from me.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, so back in the day when they had tournaments on Leech, you couldn't even keep smallmouth. So a lot of the tournament history that you look up on Leech Lake is all just largemouth bags, and there's some hefty bags that have been caught out of there.
Yes.
And I've heard it's Clear Lake and it's a northern fishery and there's grass, so it's going to be good to say the least.
Other than the rice fields, that's the one thing that sucks is you can't go. Some of those rice fields are like completely off limits. So
yeah, you can't.
And those are some of the better rice fields. From what I've heard and seen on YouTube and stuff, those are really good. I mean, I've pretty much at this point watched YouTube videos and I've searched Google nonstop for information of where some areas play and stuff. And from Google and YouTube, it seems like those rice fields can be really good, but we don't get to go in those.
So you guys, are you guys going to Logan Martin once you're done with Florida? Are you gonna check that out like later in the year, closer to the Derby, or how are you gonna do that?
Yeah, my plan. I'm actually to stay. So I'm traveling with Zach Tremont and Trey Swindle, and so Trey lives pretty close to Logan Martin. So we're gonna stop at his place on the way back, in between Okeechobee and Ouachita. Stop there. I'm gonna pre-practice Logan Martin, and then after Ouachita, I'm going back because we only have 2 weeks in between Ouachita and Santee. So I'm gonna go back to his place and then pre-practice on that in there a little more. So,
what about you, Andrew?
I'll be after Okeechobee. I'll be coming up. I'll be staying at Bob's place in between Gunnersville and Okeechobee and Ouachita. So I will definitely be spending some time on Logan Martin. I've never been on a Coosa River Lake, and I know it can be just a little bit different. Sets up a little bit different. So I'm going to spend some time on there and then honestly just set the hook as many times as I can on Gunnersville between tournaments.
I think maybe so none of you guys hurt your confidence. Maybe just go to Lay Lake. That would be better.
Yeah, that, or I mean, there's a couple lakes in Florida I'm gonna stop at on the way down. We're actually leaving on Sunday here to go down a little early to Florida, and that lake I caught that 35 or 36 and 39 pound bag on. We're gonna stop there for 4 days, and
I'm coming, boy. You better be ready.
Yeah, we're gonna.
More like I should probably be ready.
Yeah, we're gonna crash at that lake for 4 days. We got an Airbnb right 10 minutes from that lake for 4 days.
Man.
So, and I was told. So I got the day I caught 36 pounds up there, I got trouble with my leg from one of them. So I went over some boat that was probably 100 yards from me, ran over there quick. He yanked it out, and I was kind of talking to him, asking if he fished the lake a lot. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I fish a decent amount. I said, what's the biggest one that's been caught out here? And he's like, he goes, my buddy back in May caught a 16.
16.
Yeah. I said, but for his fairness, they're in there.
Yeah.
I pretty much saw a whale at one point. What I thought was a whale, and I'm like, that's the best.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I'm excited for that for sure.
Yeah, you should be. I told you got a seat ready to go, right?
Oh, dude, I'll be taking advantage of that.
100%.
I leave like basically really early Monday morning. I'm gonna leave.
Right.
I'm gonna drive down to Gunnersville, crash there for a couple hours, like literally a couple hours, and then jump on the road and keep going. I'm taking my boat to the wrap shop, so I'll be without a boat for probably like 2 days.
Perfect.
While they get that all done, so I'll have some time.
Good. Yeah, it's a good lake.
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
So do you guys do any guiding up north? Obviously, you have a really busy season with the opens. Do you guys do any guiding services or anything like up north? I know you have like some insane stuff on Sturgeon Bay and around that area, and Andrew, you do a little bit of stuff on green still, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bagelow too.
Yeah, a little bit on Winnebago too. Mine's been in the past. It's been pretty limited, just because of like my schedule. Like as you can tell, I'm working full time too, and then with fishing and everything. But this year I'm looking to ramp up my guiding, and I haven't said really anything to anyone yet, but I'll just say it on here. Is I will be doing Garmin classes this year. I got a pretty awesome exclusively Garmin setup as far as like live scope technology goes and just graphs in general and how I have them laid out on my boat's a little bit different than a lot of people. So I'm going to be making that available going into this year. Whenever the water really opens up here, I'll be willing to travel almost anywhere in Wisconsin to do it and have somebody jump in my boat. They can see how I set things up, or I'll jump in their boat and help them set their units up, like whatever the customer wants. But that's something that I'm going to do this year. Just try to take advantage of the technology because there's a lot of people up here that use live scope. I mean, for walleyes, for crappies, for bluegills, you name it. Muskies is a big one too. But like maybe there's just some intricacies that they don't know on setup, or just how to stick, like keep a beam on a fish and how to make that cast. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's something that we're missing up here. A lot of people do it down south, but nothing really up here.
I think some people would be very happy to have a shortcut with the learning curve that comes with live scope. I think there's there's people that think that you just put it on your boat and you're going to go catch fish with it. Obviously,
that's not the truth.
That's not the truth at all.
But you actually have to know how to use it. You have to know what a bass is and what a white bass is. You have to be able to tell the difference between the two. There's just a lot of little intricacies that I think the people that whine about it don't have. I don't know if you should see that. Look at that. There we go.
That's scoping, not hoping.
That people don't really think about if they haven't used it. So
right,
for sure. Yeah,
and I mean all of us take advantage of it because we've spent so much time on the water looking at a screen. So we're good at deciphering and even catchable fish sometimes just by making a cast at them and see what they do. I mean, a lot of times that can tell you right there, it's a game fish, it's a carp right away. Just trying to bridge that gap for people to try and make it a little bit faster for them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's something that I think is needed up north for sure. And I just ended up getting my captain's license, which is, that class is insane how hard that is. I got that last January. And I started guiding this past year, and it was a good first year. Kind of started to get clients and stuff and get my name out there. But I guide strictly on Sturgeon Bay. If people want it, there's a couple other lakes around my house as well that we can go to. But right now it's pretty much just Sturgeon Bay and Door County. So.
Who wouldn't like going to Sturgeon Bay and just smashing giant smallmouth all day?
Yeah, I mean it's not the worst thing in the world, to be honest.
No, it does really not get old.
Well, and the thing is, it's a lot of people don't think that it's realistically the fall is the best time. From mid-October to as late as you can get out. I mean, me and Andrew got out that one day this year, and we hurt them.
we hurt more like you hurt their feelings teaching me. Like, dude, he's younger than me, and I've been out on the boat with him. I don't know. We've been out smallmouth fishing a couple times, and just watching this dude work, like he's taught me a lot of things. And I've been chasing smallmouth for a long time, and I like to consider myself a fairly decent smallmouth fisherman. But there's just some little things that you really don't think will make a difference. And you are fishing baits right next to the guy. It's the same weight, same hook, everything's the same. He's catching them, you're not.
Yeah.
Why? So
it's just one of the, I appreciate it. I mean, it's one of those things that there's certain niches, right? That, I mean, everyone likes a certain species, whether it be largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass. It's just whatever kind of fits you, I guess.
Yep.
And I've grew up fishing Sturgeon Bay. So I guess for me, it's just, it helps that way. But yeah, I mean, me and small definitely like to get along. I really do. I do like smallmouth.
That's why you want to go to St. Clair, right?
Yes. I have, like I said, decent amount of experience on St. Clair, so I'm pretty excited to get back.
I'm going to try and spend a little bit of time there this year. I have,
That's good.
I think, I don't know, I have Hartwell like in the beginning, kind of middle of May. And then I'll probably come back here to Gunnersville and catch those fish moving out to the ledges and smash on them while they're fresh.
Yeah.
And then I got to go to Pickwick and do the same thing and do a little pre-practicing there and check a bunch of stuff that I recently acquired.
St. Clair's a good lake to go to be honest with you, even when you don't have a tournament, because if you ever do, it takes a while to figure out. It's not just
Right.
you go and you.
I've been out there.
It's different.
It'd be overwhelming because for me, if I went out there by myself not knowing anything, it'd be extremely overwhelming because it's just a big bowl, right?
That's all it is, bowl of grass.
Big bowl, right? And it comes down in current, and because there is current flowing through it, and figuring out where those fish are going to be because of that and the wind and everything. It's a very, very grassy lake.
Yeah.
And they
just roam. They roam a lot. That's the issue with that lake is they roam. Which is why it's so hard to figure out, right? I mean, when I had the I think the third stop of the Toyota Series in 2020, we were at the Detroit River, and I put almost all my time on St. Clair. And morning of the tournament, they actually ended up canceling both lakes, Erie and St. Clair. And actually, we were talking to Corey Johnston, and he said from the time he had the Elite Series tournament out there to the time this Toyota Series went out, he found the same school of fish and he stayed on them. And he said one day he went back to check them. He checked them every day, and it was a giant school of 4 to 5 and 6 pounders, just giant schools. And he said he went back to that area. He said he did miles of drifting trying to find them, and they were completely gone. Like miles gone in any direction. They were gone. That's the issue with St. Clair. And if you don't know where they go, it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. It
makes it where they are to begin with is hard enough. Whether rather than finding them when they move again.
You got to find them over and over again every single day. It makes it challenging.
Hard. Yeah.
So
I've never been to St. Clair, but I'm definitely looking forward to that one for a lot of the reasons that you just said. Is because it's challenging.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got some hammers in our field. I mean, it doesn't matter what circuit you fish. I mean, there's some freaking studs that you're fishing against every single time.
Yeah.
But I think St. Clair takes a lot of guys out of their element. It's
yes.
big, it's smallmouth. I mean, a lot of it, you can catch them on bait casters. I mean, seen it a bunch, but a lot of it you're doing with a spinning rod, which some people just don't have the affinity for. They're used to a big stick. I mean, you handle fish differently with spinning gear than you do with bait casting gear.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that absolutely hate using them. I think that it's a tool just as much as the big flipping stick is a tool. You need it for different things. I can tell you that I wouldn't have been throwing a shaky head at Eufaula on 8-pound line with a bait caster. It's just not something that I'm going to do. The spinning rod, you can cast a little bit easier and faster. You can flip it. You can do whatever with it. And I think that there's been more money won on a spinning rod than any other piece of equipment in bass fishing history. So,
100% agree.
That paired with some kind of a stick worm,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I think something that just fighting fish on a spinning rod also teaches you, because a lot of times you're using lighter tackle, it just teaches you to take your time. Don't rush it. Like a lot of times you got the fish hooked really good.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of fish popping off on spinning gear unless the drag's not set right. But if you have all of that right and you play the fish out and take your time with it, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to land it.
Yeah.
Versus like heavy bait casting equipment, 20-pound line or 65-pound braid, you're setting the hook, cranking as hard as you can, and boat flipping most of those.
You want to see how strong some spinning gear is. Once you get on a nice big school of drum on Lake Erie.
Yeah, Erie's got giant drum out there, man.
You'd be surprised at what you can do with some 6 and 8 pound test line and just horse them.
Really put it through its paces.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at what that line and what that rod and all that equipment can handle when you're fighting a fish that you don't want to catch and trying to get it to the boat faster so you can get it off the hook.
Yeah.
Right?
Whoever's on here, if you guys like drum fishing, go to Sandusky out of Lake Erie. You will have a ball of a time.
So, the guy that I stay with in Gunnersville, man, he loves catching drum.
Perfect.
Yeah, so he definitely needs to go to Lake Erie.
He's missing out if he's not going there because there are Oh, the amount of just the population's insane, and they're all big. They're all big.
Yeah, they're all huge.
They're
So
giant.
something that was pretty funny on Lake Erie when I was there, I figured out that if you fished anything on the bottom at all,
Oh
like
yeah.
if you threw a Ned rig, a tube, anything that you drug on the bottom, you were catching a drum. If you threw a drop shot, you were catching a smallmouth.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a lot of times it's those little things that you figure out while you're fishing, and those little niche things that really make a difference in these big tournaments too. That's another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too. So going from where we all came from, fishing like AC tournaments and basically weekend 1-day events, how much of a transition was it to fish 3-day events for you guys? Was it a big difference in how you fished and how you managed fish and things like that, or like what do you think the biggest difference was?
The biggest difference for me was definitely like you just don't feel like you have enough when you're fishing for 3 or more days. In practice, like for a single day event, you find one boulder that's holding, the right ones, you're good. In these tournaments, you find one boulder that's holding right ones. I need to find 50 more just to be able to maybe even just catch a limit of good ones because of how, like the competition, in electronics these days, a lot of other people are finding those boulders too.
Yeah.
So you just need to have a bunch of stuff to go try to catch them. I mean, it's just a lot more, I would say, what's the word I'm thinking for? Like scenarios that you have to be ready for.
Yep. I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, for me, it wasn't as hard, I guess, just because ever since I did the whole high school series, that's how I got my start was high school series. That's where I got my confidence from traveling and stuff. And once I had decent enough success, made 4 national championships, those national championships were multiple day events.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that is the reason behind where I'm at right now, just because of those multiple events. I mean, actually I think the at the time of the FLW high school series national championship, that was a 4-5 day event. I mean, it was a really long tournament at Pickwick, and I mean, it was super long.
High school kids, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, and it was an insane size field, and I got 22nd out of 400 and some, and then 20th out of 300 and some. And then I had the 2 Bassmaster high school tournaments that were, I think, 3 days or 3 days. So, so I mean, it's just, that's where I got a lot of experience from it. So I think without that experience, it would be a lot harder to transition. But kind of like Andrew was saying, it's just the spot situation, especially with guys literally finding everything nowadays.
So I've been doing this for full time for about 4 years now. You guys have both been doing it for a while. If you had any advice to give, it doesn't have to be a kid, but just somebody that's aspiring to do the full-time fishing thing, what would you tell them to be prepared for as they get into this? And when I say that, it could be anything about the business side of things. It could be anything about the fishing side of things, however you guys want to word it.
And you want to go first on that one?
Well, I guess one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of people talk about, it's really come to the front of the industry now, is just financing, money. How do I pay for this? I mean, a lot of people have the drive to do this. At least they think they do until they get into it. Correct. But a lot of it is just how do I afford to be able to go away from home for 9+ weeks? Just for tournaments. That's not including travel time and anything like that. The financing is definitely like get that straight before, because this is the deal. Like we just talked about it too, is like this is such a mental sport on top of just fishing itself. If you have anything occupying your mind outside of how am I going to catch a bass on this cast, you're not fishing at your full potential. You're not. Or you should.
Sure.
I mean, I am very blessed and fortunate to be able to keep this job and work with an amazing group of people that work for me while I'm gone and kind of free my mind from anything and just being able to go fish. Now, don't get me wrong, it still comes into my head because it's really expensive. Like we all know this. Even with the amazing sponsors that all 3 of us have, like there's still a lot of burden on our shoulders. You got to be able to curb that and just focus at the job at hand.
Yep. I would agree. Yeah. I think that part of it, just having a really, I think the biggest lie I think everyone told me when I was coming up to the high schools was worry about fishing, then worry about sponsorships. And I think that was the biggest misconception that you could ever flip. I think that was so wrong of everyone to say, the people that said it. I think that is the biggest. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to catch them. If you don't
Right.
catch them, sponsors.
You have to be able to catch a bass to be able
Yeah,
to do
you
this full
need
time.
to. You got to catch them. But at the same time,
Everywhere.
I think if I would have known what I know now, get with a company, don't jump around, and get with someone, and then make a really good relationship with them before you do this. If hindsight 2020, if I would have known what I know now, my high school fishing would have been completely different. I would have done the same thing as far as fishing wise, but business wise, I would have made relationships looking forward with companies I want to work for with a really long time. And I would have started off low. I would have started off at a small discount and grown a relationship with that company and then continued it on. I think that's the biggest misconception. One of the best, honestly, that's probably is the biggest misconception of fishing. But I think the other thing too, time away from home. I mean, it is brutal time away from home. I think that is probably the hardest thing. Is just being gone from home all the time. And luckily, I mean, it's always good. I think if you're traveling by yourself, it can be really hard. I've tried that a couple times. It just does not work. Yeah, Doug, I don't know how you do that, but it's really, I don't know what I would do if I didn't travel with my buddies and stuff. It'd be a lot harder for sure.
Well,
So.
I'm only normal on here. I'm super weird otherwise.
It's not true.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
The traveling is no, I've had an awesome travel partner for the last 3 years, and he's not fishing this year, and I really haven't made an effort to find a new one.
Yeah.
I just plan on doing it the cheap way, and I got a sweet tent on my truck now, and I'm going to camp a lot. So it's kind of mind my own business, and hopefully do well this year. I think
you will.
My goal is. Obviously, we get into this because we want to win tournaments, right? Or we wouldn't do it at all.
It's a drug.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys, honestly, like I do not give a crap about a trophy. I don't care. I don't even keep it. I just want that big dumb cardboard check, and I'm going to pile them up in the back of my truck. That's all I want to do. I just want a Happy Gilmore.
See, the Happy Gilmore check's nice, but I love those plaques and trophies.
Because, I want hardware.
Yeah, I'm a hardware guy too. I'm even at home, dude, I'm all about that hardware. I love hardware because
I don't have enough.
That's something that you can look back after. I mean, 60 years from now, I can sit here and I can look and be like, that was a good tournament, and I can relive memories. Just not even look at my phone and pictures. I can just look at a plaque and be like, man, that was a good day.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm looking back and wondering what I was thinking and about all the tournaments that I've ever fished. So.
We talked about that though too, is learning from each one, and that's how you get to where you're at.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree. Yeah, learning experiences is everything, whether it be good or bad. Yep. I think you learn more from the bad ones. I know we've all talked about that. I think you learn more from the bad ones, but you also learn a lot from the good ones. So, staying consistent is huge. So.
I got all that bad juju out last year, I think. So we're
you did.
on this crushing it this year.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna crush it this year. You know it.
Obviously, you guys have goals and aspirations to one. Probably the number one is to qualify for the elites or win one to make the classic, right? Besides that those are pretty obvious. Besides those two goals, what are both of your goals for this year fishing the opens? I had to make it hard, didn't I?
That's tough. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I guess my biggest goal, it was a word that was mentioned before, and that's just consistency. Yeah. Being consistent in each event will get you to the top of the leaderboard at some point. Whether it be actually in a tournament or at the end of the year when the points come out, I just want to be consistent, stick towards, I'd love to be in the top 50 every single tournament, shoot for that. But, just being consistent is really the ultimate goal. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. See, I think my goal, and just because of the year I had and the the sting that's still with me right now. It's mostly gone. It actually is completely gone. I have to move away from it. But it's looking back. I think that the mindset of, I think me and Andrew, we just talked about this the other day when we were on the phone, that you have to go into every tournament wanting to win. So for me, when I say in my mind that, okay, I want to be consistent. Well, when I say that, somehow my brain decides, oh, you mean check. No, not the check range, winning. So I think that's when I say I want to be consistent, it's not really I'm saying that out loud.
We're not shooting for checks.
Yeah, I'm saying that out loud, but internally I'm like, no, I want to win every tournament. I want
to win every single one. Doug took that option away when he said besides win a classic or qualify for the elites.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's just overcoming the nuances of, okay, like just because you say you want to be consistent, that doesn't mean you're saying you want checks. That means you're saying you want to win and be consistent and make the elite. So I think you just got to know how to phrase the right things in your own mind. Everyone's different, obviously. So you just got to know how to play your mind because it's a mind game.
Again, a mind game. I think that's a lot of what people coming up in this sport don't realize how much of a mind game it can be. One, you have to teach yourself to not listen to doc talk.
Yes, terrible.
Do your own thing.
It can get you.
Yeah,
got me.
It's gotten
me before too.
Right, so you got to learn how to not deal with that and separate yourself from it and just kind of mind your own. It's just you and the fish on tournament day, right? Forget everything else, because if you start adding in differentiating factors like doc talk or like a friend was catching them this way and you can't figure out how to catch them that way, and then that's in your head, like, what am I doing wrong? What are they doing different that they're catching them and I'm not? Like, you got to just be able to filter all that out and just relax and go fishing on tournament day. And I think that's something that I've struggled with probably.
Especially when things aren't going your way.
I think things are going to be a little bit different for me this year. It's going to be a lot easier since I'm by myself, for one. Two, I think it's going to make it a lot easier to focus just on every day is a new day. And that's something you can't carry a bad day into the next day. If you do that, you're going to have a bad day again. Because
100%. I think like the other thing too is like just going, like, kind of keeping on the same goal thing. Like, I think the hardest thing looking back last year, I went through every tournament to see what I was in first day versus second day. I think the hardest thing for me was realizing that I didn't put myself in a hole on some of the first days, but I didn't start out great. So like, I think every single tournament except the St. Lawrence River and Watts Bar, I moved up the leaderboard on the second day. So whether it be from, I was in I think I was in 66th place on Wheeler, and then I moved up to 21st on the second day. And then on Toledo, I went from 18th or something to 9th. And then like, it just seemed like I always went up the second day, other than the two tournaments where I was up high. And then on Watts Bar went from 5th to 45th. And then from St. Lawrence from 11th to 14th or 15th or something like that. So I think the biggest thing for me is just not digging myself a hole, but just having a better start. I think that's a goal for me, is just, if I can have a better start, I know my track record holds true that I'll have a good second day. Just because I'm one that I'm very nitpicky with spots and stuff. So once I understand how the fish are setting up, like back-to-back days, because I very rarely will like force a spot in practice. Like, I'll catch one fish and I'm out of there. Sometimes I won't even, like, if I see a school or something on my size can, I'll make one throw and shake it off. And if I go, so I think the biggest thing is just understanding a spot quicker, I think, is what I'm getting at is the key.
Yep.
So.
Well, we're at an hour here. It's 8:00. I don't know what time zone y'all are in, but
I'm in. It's 9 o'clock by me. I'm over. I'm
All
over
right.
in good old South Carolina.
Look,
Yeah, but
we're gonna call her a episode here, and if
100%.
you guys have anybody that you want to thank or shout out to, sponsors, family, whatever, you can go ahead and do that now, I guess.
Andrew, take it away. I'll go last.
Oh man, I got a long list of amazing people that I work with as far as just the fishing industry goes. You know, Basscat, Mercury, Power Poles, Garmin, Sea Clear, First Form Outdoors, and all the people at First Form. They're absolutely phenomenal. Missile Baits, Cast Again, Angler Armor. Who else? Golly, I know I'm probably missing a bunch. The Real Shot, of course, like those guys up there in Appleton, they're fantastic to work with. And I New One Pro Guide batteries, you know, really excited about them. I think that's pretty much it as far. Oh, Cast Again Tackle is another one too. I saw Ben on here before, but yeah, man. I mean, I'm just blessed to be able to work with a group of amazing people. I have a lot of support from my family. My mom's always been by my side when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, she worked in the industry. She's the one who really got me submerged in this. And then, of course, my amazing girlfriend, Kelly. I mean, it'd be really hard to do it if I didn't have somebody that supports me as much as she does. And just kind of, she's not excited for me to leave, but she's also like kicking my butt to get out the door because
Yeah.
she's like, go catch some dang fish. Like, go do well this year. You're going to crush it, you know?
100%.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
and Waterland. Yeah, totally forgot. I should have read your shirt. Duh.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we all got Waterland. You know, that was one thing that I was excited to get with is Waterland. You know, just keeping it short and sweet. I mean, if anyone's all my sponsors, you know, I appreciate all of them. And you know, my Instagram's got them all under the highlights. If you guys want to check it out, it's Jacob Bigelow Fishing on Instagram, and they're all on there. And you know, it'd be hard to do without them for sure. You know, I'm blessed to have a good last year, and a lot of them stepped up and helped again this year. So it was a huge deal for me, and just having my parents honestly at every event. I mean, they come to literally every single event.
Everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
and I mean, at this point, I mean, everyone at the events. I mean, my parents hang out with Hank because I've known Hank Weldon for years, fishing the Bassmaster High School Series because he was the term director for those. Now he's moved to the
Right.
Open, so that's been really cool for me. And my parents, since they knew Hank then, they still know Hank and stuff. And so it's a huge family atmosphere. I mean, when Kyle Patrick won his Lake of the Ozarks, we all went out after and with my parents stuff. So I mean, it's just a huge big family now. So it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's for sure. So
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
and I know the two of us, actually the three of us, all have like amazing social media accounts. We're always pumping out good content. You know, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Doug's the king of TikTok as far as the three of us go. Like, there's hands down nobody else that can beat us in that. And then, YouTube, I'm working on pumping out a bunch more videos on YouTube. And I just want to give it a really quick shout out. I have a Facebook group. It is an exclusive group. Doesn't cost anything, but it's just kind of where I go into a little bit more of the behind the scenes stuff that I do. I mean, you might even see conversations with Jake and Doug on there, just because I'm just trying to show people a little bit more of behind the scenes in my life. I mean, this is honestly the first podcast I've been able to do at the firehouse, so people actually see like this is what I do in the off season, just to kind of give everybody a little bit more of a taste of what it takes to actually do this full time. So yeah, I had to throw that in there.
That's cool.
That's the point of this podcast. That's why we named it Angling Unraveled, right? Because we don't want to show all the good stuff, the glitz, the glamour, and the glory all the time like everybody else does. I want people to hear about the stuff that happens behind the scenes, that it's not all unicorns and rainbows all the time, right? Like there's some
work, dude.
Bad moments, there's good moments, and I wanted to get guys that are very well into the industry and fishing tournaments to come on here and kind of go over their experiences, because I think a lot of guys that are going to be watching this are going to learn from a lot of the things that you guys say. Not so much me because I'm an idiot, but
that's far from the truth.
Definitely,
don't even.
You guys.
Dude, you've taught me so much as far as like just the fishing industry itself goes, and fishing and on the water. Like every time we go out, like we said, we learn something together. Like we have a bunch of fun, we cut up and have a good time, but our conversations are always enlightening to me, and I always learn something.
If I had any feelings, you'd be making me blush right now, Andrew.
I know, but you don't. I know that's the best part. Is like I can say some of the nicest crap, and you're just like, yep.
Well, I guess on that note,
That's perfect. Yeah.
everybody that was watching, I appreciate you guys watching.
Absolutely.
And commenting and everything and participating. If you don't mind, go give these guys both a follow on all their social media accounts. If you guys are interested in any apparel that relates to this, I'm wearing this hoodie right now. It's the podcast. You can go to my Facebook and click the link in my bio. SNS Designs, it'll take you to apparel. I have other stuff on there. I just came out with another shirt. This is that. Yeah, that's on a shirt and a hat.
And the hats.
Yeah. My TikTok is funny. If you guys want to watch me on live, I'll probably be doing that after this. It's always a good time. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll probably be on next week. And thanks for watching again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Appreciate it. Yep.